Let us pray for peace. It is the subject of our class. Peace in justice and in fraternal love also. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Mary, seat of wisdom, pray for us. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. So the subject of the class this morning is Peace and International Organization. St. Augustine gave the two definitions. I will follow for that Father Tagoté first, and after I will use the social agenda. So I will use that social agenda. And you also, I gave you some pages, I printed that for you recently, from the Catholic, from the compendium here, number 433. And some passage also you have from the Catholic Catechism. So the document we consult, you have them. Okay, St. Augustine speak about peace as well-ordered concord. Well-ordered concord. Well, interesting. Concord comes from Latin concordis. And cord in Latin means heart. So concord, to put our hearts together. That's the meaning of concord. Huh? When there is concord, people, they love one another. That's the meaning of concord. But a concord well-ordered. Not a concord for those who are the strongest. No, a concord for well-organized, and so it's such everybody can share in the concord, in the common love, fraternity, friendship. Another definition, very well known by St. Augustine, it is the tranquility of order. Order. If there is chaos, there is no peace. Peace is in order. And to have order, we need an authority, a principle of order. But the tranquility, be careful, tranquility is not the tranquility of the cemetery. We can have the peace of the cemetery. Nobody can speak, nobody can, very tranquil, like in North Korea, for example. That is tranquility of cemetery. If you see something, immediately you disappear. So the tranquility, peace, because there is no possibility, St. Thomas has said that, to practice virtue, we must have a climate of tranquility, comfort, security. If we live in insecurity, consider, for example, the poor people in Syria, they live now in complete insecurity for 2-3 years. It's horrible. It's difficult to have a human life, a normal human life. Okay? So that peace implies not necessarily order, and order implies authority. So a principle of order. What is authority? Authority is a principle of order. It indicates how people together in concord they can arrive to a common good. To the common good. And we must also have a criterion for that. It is the criterion the Church proposes for any kind of civil authority, human authority, the respect of the human person. The respect of the human person, the respect of human rights. And on an international level, do we have now an international authority? Yes and no. Physically, we don't have international authority. There is no super power in controlling, ordering the tranquility of the planet. We don't have that. We don't have a physical, but we have a moral moral power. And that is the organization of the United Nations, United Nations organization. I say many times, it's not perfect, of course, it is better than nothing. Imagine if we will not have that today international organization to help people to live in harmony, it will be totally horrible. Huh? So, and the foundation, I told you, the foundation, the criterion is the human rights, the respect of the human person. And for the United Nations, that is based on the declaration of the December 10, 1948, the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights. It is one of the most important dates in the history. But I'm sure if I go to a college, I will ask the student, when was declared that affirmation that all human people are equal, etc. I think 99.9 will not know the date, but you know the date. So on the 10th of December, think about that and pray for peace and justice. But peace is not only absence of war. Sometimes we say not to be in war and to be in peace. Not necessarily. Peace is something positive. It's a reality. It is a good for men to be in peace. And you have in the Catholic Catechism of the Church, number 2003 or 4, you have what is the positive aspect of peace. If you have that, it's worth to read. Otherwise, you will read after the class. Respect for and development of human life require peace. And if we cannot develop correctly the human without it. Imagine children when they are always managed by bound. They cannot sleep well. They cannot go to school, and they grow without school, without education. That's happening now in Syria. Yesterday on television, they showed a part of a camp, a refugee camp. Those people, they live in a horrible situation, horrible. So, peace is not merely the absence of war, and it is not limited to maintaining a balance of powers between adversaries. Equilibrium, international, between the Western world and the Eastern world before 1990. Peace cannot be attained on earth, that is important, without safeguarding the goods of persons. Without safeguarding the goods of persons. What are the goods of persons? The first life, the first good is to live, a security for life, health, a material good, but also spiritual good. Freedom of religion, capacity to go to school, to study, and to develop, and to express our talents, etc. So the good of the person. Free communication, freedom of communication, freedom of expression among men. Respect for the dignity of persons and peoples, and the assiduous practice of fraternity. We are all brothers. We are all brothers. And it is one of the first texts given by the church about that here. Peace, in fact, is, I will say, is the fruit of justice and the fruit of love. Only justice is not sufficient for peace. We must have more than justice. There must be a kind of friendship, a kind of fraternity. If you say, okay, I will not touch you, don't touch me, I will not touch you, okay? That is not a good situation. It's better to say, okay, how are you? To shake hands, than to look on each side of the fence and say, like dogs, they bark. Sometimes people are that. They menace. It is the situation we have now. We have like dogs barking, but we don't attack. Think about Ukraine. And the situation in Ukraine is like that. It is something happening, nobody there to touch. It's not a fraternal situation. It's not a friendship situation, friendly situation. Okay? So that is peace is the, and that is they quote Saint Augustine, the tranquility of order. Next sentence, peace is the work of justice and the effect of charity, love. The work of justice, there's no peace without justice, and more than justice, the effect of charity. We must go farther than strict justice. For example, in a family, imagine in a family where the parent will be only taking care of the children, only the strict justice. Okay, you need to eat, take your porridge. No. Imagine the life would be very difficult, huh? But your mother, huh? She presents the porridge with kindness, and you know, and she hugs you. You know, they love you. Not only my parent and your parent practice justice. Yes, they practice justice, but they practice more than justice. And that should be the relation between countries. The relation between countries shouldn't be only on strict justice. Should go farther than that. Friendship in fact, is a condition to good relation. It's not only not to do evil to another, to do bad thing. It is to express we are friends. We are. And you know, recently in Panama, what happened? Well, President Obama shook the hand of Raúl Castro. Well, it's better than to punch him. You know, it's better than the pig, the attack of the bay au cochon, the pig bay. Huh? You know, the international relation must not be founded only on strict justice. Of course, strict justice is the minimum. We have to go farther. And for example, the treaty between Canada, United States, and Mexico, NAFTA. It is not only strict justice, it is more than that. For example, we can exchange goods, we can exchange persons, we can circulate without not too much difficulty between countries, you know. So that is, it is the two dimensions of international relations. And when those international relations function well, we are in a state of peace, state of peace. If you go, did anyone among you visit? Did you visit United Nations in New York? You, yeah. Only one. Who went to New York? Shame on you. Next time you go to New York, go to the United Nations. Because it is probably the most, after, I would say, the most important building after Vatican, St. Peter, is United Nations. Yeah. It is much more important than all those, even Wall Street is behind that. It is the, imagine, no, think about that. It is the place where all the nations of the world meet. They meet there to discuss about peace, justice. It is excessively important. And when you enter there, look what it is written on the wall. It is written, a text from Isaiah chapter 2, verse 4. They shall beat their swords into plowshare, and their spear into pruning ox. You know, they would change their arm into instrument of to cultivate the earth. Huh? That is written. It is the ideal. The ideal is this to avoid war and create a climate of peace. So next time
they have a big picture with a lion and a baby play with a lion.
Yes.
Under the center.
Yes. You know, when they say in the Gospel, the Bible, the lion will play with a little child. That is the ideal. I encourage you, because sometimes we don't realize the importance of some organization, and many times also some journalists, they say, oh, that is only babbling. No, it's not babbling, it is more than that. And that is important for small countries. Where can small countries fight for their right? They have no powerful army. They can discuss there, they can meet other countries there. It is a very good instrument. And the Vatican, the Holy Father, is always represented to the United Nations. He is represented to the UNESCO because he is a state. Huh? The Pope is a king also, materially, politically, is a king. Huh? So, and they have their place, the Vatican. And when they have a speech, the representative of the Vatican, and when the Pope will come here the 1st of September, he will go to the United Nations. John Paul II went there 2 times. Paul VI went there. And now Francis will be there. It is very, very important. Where communists and allies, we can discuss. For example, to prove the importance of that is 1962, 1963. When Cuba was protected by the USSR, and the USSR installed missile ramps, 90 miles from Miami. Imagine the danger. From there they can send missile on New York. How they discuss, instead of fighting with gun, they met at the United Nations, and Kennedy proved in front of Khrushchev, who was there, he proved that the Russians were preparing something bad. And Khrushchev was furious. What he did, he took his shoes, with his shoe, he protested on the, but we saw that millions of people, they were watching that on television.
Oh, wow.
And all that was in the United Nations. That is very, very important. Okay? Now, I gave you that symbol here. Bon. I think it's important because some students in the past, they thought it was a diabolic symbol, the symbol of the devil. No, it is the symbol of anti-nuclear war. And you have, it is from 2 letters. The letter N in the semaphore, it is like that. And the letter D in the semaphore is like that. So they combine nuclear disarmament. So nuclear disarmament. And in the picture, after that here, you see an American soldier made captive by a North Vietnamese soldier during the war. And he has a symbol here. It's a symbol of anti-nuclear war. He is explaining what is the symbol of that. So when you see that symbol, don't think about the devil. No, I say that because I know in the past someone, they say, that symbol is, that this is not Christian, it's anti-Christian, Jesus Christ is like that. Because it is the contrary of the cross. The cross is like that, no? And that is here. No, it's not against the church, it's not against the Christ, it's a symbol. We must know the origin of that symbol. Okay? Is the reason why I gave that to you. Okay? I go now, I come back to the text of Father Fagosi. Now, the Pax is the desire of every people, and everyone wants to be in peace, no? I don't think, except if you are not normal. If you are not normal, you like to provoke problems. Some people like that. Yeah. They like that, to provoke problems. To fight. And you have a good example of that. Young people from United States, from England, from France, from Germany, they go to ISIS to fight. I told that to you for recently in New York. They stopped 2 girls, 14 years old. They were leaving to fight with ISIS. They like to kill, But normally we prefer to be quiet, to be in harmony, to have good relations with our neighbor. In a village, when people are very good relations, the village is happy. But if there is 1 family or 2 families, they create problem, immediately people are not at ease in the village. Okay, you have the Pax Romana. But the Pax Romana in the time of Jesus was in fact not a real peace. It was the tranquility of the cemeteries. That means the Romans dominate, control, and because they control, they were not war, But they were not real peace, because peace implies freedom. peace implies freedom. If we are not, if we are occupied, of course you will not have, you will not move. But if you don't move, you are not free. Huh? Okay. So a Middle Age. Now, a Middle Age, we saw that last class. Also, the role of the church in the creation of international organization, because Christianity is spreading more and more, and the influence of the gospel, the influence of the canon law. So we arrived to a kind of organization. In one of the first manifestations of that influence of the church, it is the coronation of Charlemagne, you know, Charles the Great, in Christmas 800. It is the Pope who put the crown on Charlemagne, who anointed Charlemagne. So Charlemagne was, he was the king, the emperor of the Christian empire by the will of God. And after that, in many countries, Catholic countries, the king, like in Spain, like in France, even like in England up to Henry VIII, were sacred, were anointed by a bishop or by the Pope himself. In France, it was a Reims, in Reims, and it is the place all the time, king were sacred, sacred. They were the anointed. But with French Revolution, that stopped, of course. And with Henry VIII, that stopped. But that gave a great possibility for people to have some international rule. Not to kill without any reason, you know, what ISIS is doing. It was the time of the barbarian, 5th century and 6th century, it was like that. They arrive and they kill and they kill and they kill. No, now they are Christian, they must obey some laws, Christian law, and they are to obey the Pope. So it was from 800 to about 1779 in France, for example. We can say that the peace in the nation and among the nation was more or less well controlled by the Holy See. And it is one of the reasons between France and the Pope, Vatican, was created a regular relation we call diplomacy. Because the first country to have a permanent representing, one representing the government in Vatican, in the Holy See, was Ambassador of France. Is the reason why forever the Ambassador of France is the dean of the ambassadors in the Vatican. Is the reason why every year, the 1st of January, it is always the Ambassador of France who read the speech of good wishes to the Pope. Now, French Revolution was not limited to France. In fact, the idea of revolution spread in Europe, and the idea of independence. And also how we can impose a new regime, how we can change without war, without fighting, without revolution. So after the revolution, when things changed, and the big change is 1789 to, like here, 1776, we have an effort to stop, control war. People were tired. During the war, following the French Revolution, about 1.5 million people died at war. At that time, France was about 20 million people. That is huge number, like it was in 1914, 1918. About 1 or 2 million people, even in France, died, only in one country. And they evaluate the number about 40 million to 60 million people, like the last war. Imagine, it's a big, big problem. So people are fed up. They want to stop. Because if you are at war, you cannot develop your agriculture, you cannot develop your industry, you are fighting on the field. It's not time to go to university, etc. So in fact, war is evil, we saw that, and war is impeding the progress of nation. Accidentally, as we saw, it can provoke. Temporarily, for example, in 1945, 39 to 45, the countries like Canada, United States, developed their industry full speed. But when the war finished, their industry was organized to do other things, you know. But that is accidental. And the goal of war is not to help industry to have a progress. No? So we have the Congress of Vienna. It was one of the first international meeting to try to find some agreement to live in a certain peace, having a minimum of good relation. And you have the Convention of Geneva, 1863. It is that time they created the Red Cross. Red Cross. It's Henri Dunant, the founder of Red Cross, a French, Swiss man. Because they were horrified with the way prisoners were treated during those wars before. You know, it was a very difficult thing for a country to feed prisoners of war. What was the solution? Either to exchange, or either to kill them. And many were killed because it was too much for the country to support them. That means if you are taken as a prisoner of war, you are condemned to death. So now in Geneva, with the Red Cross, they say no more, we cannot do that. Prisoners of war, they have the right to continue to live. And that is a great progress. Great progress. Before, when they were taken prisoner, they will sure, either they will become slave in the time of the Roman, slave, or they will be exchanged. That is a good thing, they come back home, or they will be executed. Okay. So we spoke also about the Renaissance, Grotius, when they began to organize international law. But what is the difficulty? The difficulty, in fact, it is the problem of authority. Imagine if China will be the supreme authority, or United States, or Russia. Will people be happy with that? So it is difficult. We have to live together. We have to have international laws, but nobody is able to impose that. Well, United Nations created a kind of force of interposition, especially in Cyprus, where the people were killing them one another generously. And now, because there are soldiers between Greek and Turks, but they live in peace. It's the same between Israel and Egypt. There is always but you know, that is not a real army for United Nations does not have an army, except to protect some little thing. So where is the end? The problem is there. If we have a right, there must be some might to oblige people to respect the right, no? Why your law, civil law in Connecticut, for example, or in Vietnam or New York State, why those laws are efficient? They are efficient because the majority of the population obey their conscience, okay? But in every society, some people that don't obey their conscience. We call that delinquent. Who can control the delinquent? Who can assure the harmony, the order in the city? The police, no? The city, the police. You have a might. Every law, to be efficient, have a might, a power. But in the international relation, so they have a committee in New York, we call the Committee of Security. No? At the Council of Security, they have 15 countries, and elected, 5 are by right, United States, Russia, China, France, and England. And those 5 countries have the power of veto. And the 10 others, they are elected by all the other countries to represent them. It is the power we have. And sometimes everybody, 14 are favorable to do an action, for example, a boycott of some product, and one say no. You know, if you follow the politics, international politics, the Council of Security is important, but it is also limited in its power because of the power of veto. Like here in the United States, the Congress or the President asks for something, the power of veto. Meaning I oppose. Veto, I oppose. I oppose. One person can stop power of veto. Okay? No. So the problem is, how can we have an effective authority? But anyway, if we don't have a physical might, a powerful police or army to control all the nation, we have at least a moral power. And in fact, we work for, say, 1948, 45, because it was created in 1945 in San Francisco. We live with a moral power. So if it is a moral power, not everybody will obey, no? The Ten Commandments are a moral power. Does every man obey the Ten Commandments? Does every man is afraid to go to hell? No. You have always someone who cheats, someone who steals, someone who kills. So, but it is better to have a moral power than nothing. You know, the moral power is maybe more powerful than we think. Because every country wants to have a good reputation. And when you say to Putin, that is stealing Crimea, that he does not like that. And the Russians don't like that. And when Americans are criticized by other countries, they don't like that. If you went to other countries in the world as American, don't have the flag on your back. Because you have many reactions, you know. So people don't like Russia because Russia occupied Crimea. Don't like United States because they don't like France. You know, that is very important. The reputation of a country. We want to be the best. We want to have the. It is better to have the esteem of others than to be to be detested by others. That is a moral power. And the call to conscience. And when the Pope, Paul VI, and John Paul II went to the United Nations, they went there without gun, without army. They went there with the moral power. And the moral power of the Church at Vatican is huge, moral power. And that is it is important for a country to have the recognition of other countries. It is better to be recognized as good than as bad, you know. Even China does not like to be criticized, you know. Okay? So the necessity, it is a necessity for peace to live and to have international organization. First, no nation can live in isolation. No nation can live in autarky. Autarky. Not a single country in the world can say we possess and we have all the means we need to live, and we buy nothing from anyone. No. Every country today depends on another. So we cannot. So we have, because we live, we must have international organization. For example, for airplane. Imagine if there was no international organization. It was a lot of problems, many accidents. So there is an international organization, international regulation for airplane. For fishing, for example. If we don't have international, what happens for fishing? Someone will eat all the fish they can, and the other will have nothing. And what is worse, they will not fish for the future. You know? That is a real problem. So we must have an international regulation. It is necessary also to protect trade. Trade is a reality. Every country has to sell and to buy product from other countries. So we have necessary, it is necessary to have laws controlling trade, just assuring justice, okay? Security. For example, remember about 5-6 years, big container, when they were attacked along the Somalia coast of Africa, Somalian coast, by pirates. But we have to assure the security of those ships, you know. So that it is international solidarity, and you see that also when there is an earthquake in China, earthquake in Turkey, earthquake in South America. Chinese, American, Canadian, German, they go there with their dogs, with their, and you know, that is, we need international organization. Red Cross is an international organization, okay? To protect the less powerful nation and to oblige the mighty nation to respect justice and to respect even the interests of the little countries. Peace and justice are inseparable. So United Nations, if it is not perfect, I repeat, it is better than nothing. You know, when you have to fix a nail, what is important is not to have a new armor. The best model is to have something. If you have no armor, what do? You take a stone. It's better to have a stone than to have nothing. You know? So I think international organization, you know, they are not perfect, but they are good. They produce some good effect, and we have to sustain them. It's the reason why the Catholic Church is everywhere. All our international organization, the Pope wants to have representing them. Why? Because the Catholic organization is the conscience. We are the conscience. When the Pope will speak on September, be sure, everybody will be attentive and they say, oh, what we are doing is not conform. So two reactions, they can say, you are wrong, or they can say, I have to change. You know? But it's sure that the moral power is very important in international relations. Why? Because there is no physical power. There is no physical power. The physical power outside of war, is what we are practicing now against some countries, to a kind of boycott, a kind of sanction, economic sanction. Economic sanction. Now, I think the best text to read about that subject is in the social agenda. Article, social agenda, I see a chapter, no, article 11. Number 20. So, they have the text, the official text of the church about the international organization. And the first paragraph, it is the human family. So we have to deal in our relation between countries, we have to act as if we were members of the same family, the human family. By right, we are equal. So the human. You have that, number 324. Again, racism, for example. Again, racism. The ideal is to tend toward a fraternal society. I have an experience of that in Africa. The first day I arrived in Cameroon, I was with the Canadian government at that time. I was hired by a Canadian agency. And I landed on Douala, and I have no money. I have American money, I have not African money. So I went to I saw a man at the bar. I say, can you change some American money to, oh, ask your brother. So I turned, there was a giant, blonde, a German. I knew he was my brother. That is good. I discovered that that German is my brother. And what I like in Cameroon, people, many times they don't say sir, they say brother. Huh? Brother, sister, brother. And I use that, you know, even most of the time I say always brother, no? Jesus said we have only one Father. So if we call me brother Michel, will not be insulted. No. Fraternity, experience, and that is interesting. It is interesting and it is also useful, I will say almost necessary for student, American student, for example, Canadian student, to go abroad. To go abroad, at least for a few months, to work with other people, to live with other people, to discover that they are different, but they are the same as we are. They are our brothers. They are our sisters, especially when we have the same faith. My real first experience of fraternity, it is when I went to the United States, New York, for the first time in my life, 1966. I was going to Washington, and the bus stopped in New York, and I went to a church near the bus station. For the first time in my life, I say, those people, they say the Mass in English. I never attended the Mass in English. For me, I was surprised that people can pray in English. Because I only pray in French or in Latin. And those people pray in English. And they go to communion. You know, we have the same family. A good experience I did also is in Bethlehem. Christmas 1970, I was in Bethlehem. And I attended the Mass, the midnight Mass in the church we call St. Catherine, the Catholic Church in Bethlehem. And it was so numerous people, they take off the benches. We were standing like sardines in the same. Arafat was there, etc. And at the end of the Mass, the choir boy with the people, they sang Ye Faithful, you know, and in Arabic. But when they arrived to the refrain, you know that the melody, everybody, there was a Senegalese here, there was a Dutchman here, there was a Portuguese here. We were one. That is the experience of fraternity. So it's the reason why I hope a day or another, never miss an occasion to work with other people, other nations, to realize that we are brothers. We are brothers. Okay? That is the teaching of number 324. But the basic of that, it is for dignity and inalienable right of man is the bond between man and God. Why we have to live in brother, the church says, because we are son and daughter of God. We have only one Father, God, in heaven. And we are brothers and sisters. Of course, that is not philosophy, that is theology. But, you know, even as a philosopher, I can say that. Because there is only one God, besides that, the philosophy of God, no? He is the creator, so He created us, the same race, the same species, rational animal. And we are more than rational animal, we are also the fruit of the love of God. So we are brothers and sisters. Okay? So the unity of the human family. Now number 325, it is a text from Mater et Magistra. Well, if we have time, one encyclical I encourage you to read, it is Mater et Magistra, Mother and Teacher. It is easy to read. It was written by John the 23rd. And it is the first time the Pope wrote an encyclical to everybody, every man on earth. Before, the encyclical were always addressed to my dear brother bishops. But in that encyclical, John the 23rd writes to every man of goodwill. So he addressed for everyone. It's a beautiful encyclical. So the church, as a fact, is a factor of international peace. And you know, and you will know, all the encyclical written by the Pope, of the intervention of the Catholic Church, not only through text, but through action. For example, Caritas International. It is one of the most efficient organizations in the world for justice and charity. We have also peace and development. Peace and development. So we have organization in the Catholic Church favoring the union and the peace between people. Okay. And more, if you look at what happened in Vatican since 30 years, more and more you see Chinese, you see Vietnamese, you see African, you see Indian, more and more enter in the Vatican, enter in the Curia. And when you watch the Pope now, at every office, last time it was two, an Indian and an African, they were two deacons, you know. Because we are universal. What is the meaning of Catholic? In Greek, universal. It is the most important organization in the world, as universal is Catholic Church. Yes. It's the most important. It is the reason why she is so detested. Because the value she proposed are not the value of the world. Darkness and light. Okay, but another encyclical, 326, it is from John Paul II, Solicitudo Rei Socialist. It was an encyclical to celebrate, to express the care of the Church about social problem, about social justice. No? And in that text, the Pope speaks about the new criterion for international society. And you know what the Pope says? That is no more philosophy, it's theology. Huh? It is the relation of man to the Holy Trinity. Wow. Well, that is parenthesis in theology. Holy Trinity is the union, no? And when we are united between us, we share in the union of the Holy Trinity. That is very high. Huh? But if a Christian, we can understand that. We can try to live that. So in a family, we live the union of the Holy Trinity. In a country, we try to live. But that union is a union of love. Huh? Of love. Okay? Now, the next paragraph, it is the free trade. There you have that on number 328. Now, I use the agenda, huh? The free trade, free market. And you have that in Populorum Progressio, on number 59. Huh? Nation must respect the rules of free agreement and commutative justice. It is a fact there are inequalities. Very great. For example, in Cameroon, where I was, we produce cocoa for chocolate. And I heard a conference on the radio, they said, on $1 produced for chocolate, 3 cents go to the producer.
Oh, only 3 cents?
3 cents. That means the producer who sweat. It is a very difficult work to produce cocoa. That received 3 cents on $1. That means 97 cents are for the other than the producer. That is a situation of injustice. It is the same situation for coffee. Brazil is the most important producer of coffee with Colombia. And they have no control on the price of the coffee. It is controlled by London, you know, like Wall Street, and they control the... That means the benefits are made by the distributor, are made by the advertising, and the one who produces coffee, that's a situation of injustice, you know. And they said in that program, if we give only 1 cent more, we change the life of the worker. We did that. You know? So that is inequality. No? Free trade must be honest trade. You know, I can have a free trade and oblige the people to buy a very high price, a very high price instead of. Free trade must be based on justice. Or many times, you know, here we see free market. free market can itself produce justice? No. Free market must be controlled. Because greed is everywhere. And if we can, we give only 2 cents to the producer of cocoa and make 1 cent more in my pocket. Now, in the United States, there is a manifestation many places about minimum wage. Huh? The minimum wage is $7.25, and now they reclaim employee for Walmart, of McDonald's, $15. Of course, he reclaimed more to have less. Yes, brother.
There's an interesting article I found online. I believe it's in Seattle, but the CEO of this company, he has like, I forget how many, 70 some employees or something, but he took a pay cut of $1 million to so everyone's minimum wage was $70,000 a year, and so he took a pay cut himself from $1 million to $70,000.
I saw the program on television. They present that. That is a good example. I don't know if the other will imitate him. Another example in the history is Ford, Henry Ford. Huh? The mentality at the beginning of the 20th century was for capitalists to give the minimum salary all the time, to make more profit. And Henry Ford was the first to give a good salary to his employees. And he was criticized by the other. I told that to you. Huh? But Henry Ford was utilitarian. He said, I will help my employees, because if they have a good salary, they will buy my car, no? They will buy the car they produce. And so we will have a better production. But in fact, it was, if you have a better salary, you can consume more, no? But that example, I saw that 2 times on television, the same man. But that is ideal, huh? Ideal. But will everybody do that spontaneously? For example, the employee of Costco, they have a very good salary. Almost the double of Walmart. But that comes from the fact that Costco is a cooperative. So they don't work first to make money, they work for the service of the people belonging to the cooperative. And the employees are members of the cooperative. Okay? Cool. Now the free trade. You can read that by yourself. Huh? The free trade must favor auto-development. And next class we will study about the development of people. It is a great necessity. Huh? No economic and political domination in the market. No economic. That is another problem. Some countries are very powerful and they can control some market. It can be the market of oil, it can be the market of rice, etc. Finally, human action, even in trade, must be guided by the principle of solidarity. I told you that when you go to the store, you pay. But the one who sells you the product is at your service. You pay not only the value of the thing you buy, but you pay his service. We are solidary. We depend on. Imagine if tomorrow the farmer in the United States decide, okay, we don't, for 1 week we sell no milk. No milk. It will be a big problem in many places. We depend on one and another. And what is strike? Strike, it is to stop the production of something, to express our revendication. Okay. Now, if I continue, a popular progressive, the Pope John Paul VI, speak about the necessity of the competition. It is necessary to have a competition in free market. A free market without competition is not efficient. Free competition is necessary, but like in sport, we need a referee. If you play basketball, if you play football, it is necessary to have a referee. But we must have referee. That means we must have a control. So that idea comes continually in the text of the Pope. Free market is necessarily, but not absolute free market. A free market with a certain control. Now, the third part in the social agenda is the condition for establishing peace. And the text, it is the text of Guardian Space. You have that at number 330. 330. And the Pope gives here the condition to have peace. If you have the text, go there. It's an excellent text, excellent. And that is conformed to what Paul VI will affirm at New York when he went to the United Nations. Peace results from the order structure, and it is actualized by men. Peace is not the fruit of economy, of blind powers. Peace is the result of the will of man. Man is the artisan of peace. You know, because in the theory of communism, of capitalism, in fact, a social organization is determined by economy. That is a common point between communists and capitalists. No? But on both sides, the FM economy is determining the reality, for Marxists, determining the history. And here they say, no, peace is not the fruit of economy, it is the fruit of the will of man. Man, peace to men of goodwill. Okay? So, peace is never attained once for all. Another thing also. Every generation is to create the condition for a just peace. It's not because my grandfather at the time they were very in peace that today we will be in peace. No. Every generation has to create a climate for peace. No? Peace has always to be built. Like faith, for example. The problem of some country, they thought that faith was transmitted almost biologically. My grandfather was a Catholic, my father was a Catholic, necessarily I am a Catholic, and my children will be Catholic. And now they are not Catholic. What happened? Because faith is not transmitted through DNA. It is to be built. It's the same for peace. Peace is something to be built. And you know, the obstacle to peace, they are the selfishness. And the Pope speak about that. He speak about the reality of social sin. The reality of social sin. That means they are personal sin, but they are also social sin. As a country, as a group, we can commit sin by crushing the poor, for example. By passing laws that favor the rich and make the people poorer. That exists, those laws exist in some countries. And we favor a class, a part of the population. No? Okay? So the reality of sin, the achievement of peace require, and the Pope quotes 6 things. First, a constant mastery of passion. Constant mastering, again, greed and pride. Domination. Remember, concupiscible appetite. And irascible appetite. We want to have more and more and more, possessed. To have more and more. And we judge the value of a man, of an institution to the number of dollars. And this year we have 2 million more than last year. Oh, we are good. But our employees, they are starving. Secondly, the vigilance of lawful authority. Necessity of authority. Third, the safeguard of personal well-being, private property. The church fights for private property. Be careful. Private property is linked with common good. That's the problem. You know, I told you politics, economy is a fight. It's always a fight because we are a conflict of many interests together. Fourth, sharing of the riches of their inner spirits and talent. I mean, peace is based when we share our goods, material goods, riches, when we share also our spirits, knowledge and talent. For example, suppose a country discovers a vaccine against leprosy, for example. Is it only for them? It is a duty to share that vaccine with others. We cannot keep a good, it is for everyone, only for the interest of someone. So we have some laws for that, international law about the medication, about the trade of products for food, for health, etc. The respect of men in their dignity. You know, we spoke about the time of the Roman, when the Roman were, they did not have any women, so they invented this, they go to Sabinus, and they stole women and they bred. That was at the time of the Roman, maybe 600 years before Jesus Christ. That is not the past, it's today. Today they go, they enslave village children and women, and they send that to other country as a slave labor or as a sex labor, a sex slave. That is not in the and the Pope spoke about that recently. The enslavery of people. Slavery continues to exist. Of course, there is no more ship with slaves, but there is many ways to enslave people. For example, they hire some Chinese women in France, in Paris, for example, hired by Chinese, of course, not by French. And when they arrive in Paris, they take off their passport. And the poor woman, she does not speak French. She's knows nothing. She's condemned to work and work and work. And they said, when you will work, you pay your ticket, you pay your passport, you will be free. That is a reality. I know a sister, she lived in the street where they do that. You know, it's very difficult for French government to intervene because it is so well. And that is, it's not only in Paris, it exists many places. In Italy, the same problem in Rome. And I know that somebody speak about Chinese and Vietnamese. You know, what exists in the past exists today also. The respect of the human person is central. And finally, the Pope speak about brotherhood. To live in a climate of fraternity instead of a climate of to be enemy. You know, in the past, when the immigrants arrive in New York, Irish immigrants, they have difficulty, they have to fight against Italian immigrants. They were in gang, and today you have the same phenomenon, gang. Instead of fighting, why we don't work together? Together. So, in the Pope continues, peace is the fruit of love. Beyond justice. That means justice is the minimum, but we have to go farther than justice. Okay. Now, peace, number 331. Peace is necessary for the respect of human life. In fact, when there is a state of war, there is no respect. We kill without necessity. We are able to kill many people only to attain something. Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Dresden, I spoke about that. Okay? Development of the human life, formation of the whole person. And the encyclical of John on the Paul VI is about that. It is a moral obligation for rich country to help the other country who are not so developed, to help them to develop all people and the whole person. It is a duty. It is a duty. So when a country helps another country, it's not only charity, it is a duty. Why? Because in a family, it is a duty for the big brother to help the little sister. No? You have to. That's solidarity in the family, solidarity in the human world. Huh? So the condition for peace, first, respect the good of person, the private property. Respect that. Free communication, we saw that already. Freedom of communication. Respect for the dignity of people and practice of fraternity. In fact, the same idea come all the time. If you read God, Human Space, number 78, God given space is the text from Vatican. Vatican. It is the synthesis of the teaching of the church in regard with social justice. It is Gaudium et Spes. When the Pope speak about justice, they refer to Gaudium et Spes. No? Okay. So how we can suppress the war? To suppress the war, we have to suppress inequalities. We have to suppress also the envy, to possess what we don't have. You know? Distrust, defiance, because our international relations are based on trust. Trade is based on trust. Recently on television, they interviewed the founder, the founder of Alibaba. You know Alibaba? The founder is a Chinese. And he said, you know, we must be honest, because they asked them, is your system, it must be honest because trade is based on trust. And to trust, we must have a certain respect for the other, no? When you said with Sister Faustina, Jesus, I trust in you. You know? So when I go to the store, I buy a can of bean, I trust the dealer that the kind of bean is not a can of a potato or a can of a stone. They put stone and they put a can. No. You know, trade is based on trust. International relations are based on trust. When a country, for example, a country comment to Boeing, 20 planes, 20 Airbus, Boeing, or we comment to Airbus in France or in England, 40 A380. That is based on trust. We trust that the country will pay in 20 years. And if there is no trust, there is no international relation. And finally, I will say, suppress pride and greed. The virus is there. We should have an antivirus. Antivirus. The virus is greed and pride. Pride and greed. And I think it is NBC, every night they give 1 hour about that. American greed. Incredible. How people can exploit others to make more money. They never satisfy. And I will add something, fanatism. Fanatism. Ideology is dangerous because ideology leads to fanatism. ISIS, they work on fanatism. They fanatize their member. Like the Japanese, they fanatize the kamikaze. They convince the soldier to give their life for the country, and they jump directly on the boat with the bomb. You know? Or they were in the submarine, and when the torpedo, when the torpedo touched the boat, they explode with the torpedo. You know, that is fanatism. Okay. And number 338, they speak about the community of nations is based on human interdependence. Human interdependence. So we are dependent one another. So you can read the text by yourself. Of course, you see, Father, I have to prepare 4 other subjects. I am a realistic teacher. I teach for 61 years. I know you can, but you know, why you cannot continue after? You have the notes. You can read those after the class during vacation. No? Is it a sin to read their text during vacation? If it is a sin, I will absolve you very rapidly. So no, think about that. You have a richness. The document I gave you, they are very, very good. I know you don't have time. I gave you a series of questions, not questions, a subject. I asked you to know at least something to write 6, 5, 7 lines. For example, you take what is it? Private property, for example. Now, what is this? What the church says about private property? Well, it is a right to possess. Huh? It is natural right. But that right must be controlled by the submitted to the community. To have the essential. What I want that when you leave this class, you can have a clear idea on those subjects. A clear idea doesn't mean you will explain everything, but you can have a precise idea. You know, it is what I want from you. And at the examination, a part will be on that. No, but I hope after 45 hours of reading and teaching, you can know at least a few ideas about every subject here. Otherwise, why are you at the high school, university? Okay, brother.
All right, brother. Well done.